Thanks, David, for sitting down with me. We're here at PGDC in Winnipeg this week, and you were honored at the recognition luncheon. You'll be retiring after a long career in the field, and I'm just curious, you've had such a long career in plant pathology, extension, field research. What originally drew you to this field?
Well, it's maybe a long and wandering answer because I'm not a kid who grew up on the farm. I was a city kid, used to work summers for my uncle on the farm, and a life that really attracted me. But my uncles recommended that I should go to university and get some smarts before I got into the business. And while I was at university, that's where I became interested in plant pathology. Worked as a summer student for a couple of seasons, and then got into diagnostics and things like that. Went back to school at Simon Fraser to get a broader perspective on pest management. And since that time, I've been working in that area, both in government and in industry. And in all three prairie provinces, I started professionally in Alberta, and then Saskatchewan, and finally Manitoba.
Now, you started as a diagnostician in 1988, and how has plant disease diagnosis evolved over the years, and what's some of the biggest advancements that you've witnessed in that time?
Well, there have been some amazing advances through breeding on dealing with plant disease issues. When I was in Saskatchewan, it was the early days of pulse production. Lentils was what started. Even while I was a summer student, we were out traveling and looking at ascochyta on lentils as a new disease at the time. And it was really a difficult disease to manage. There were no pesticides available at the time. And so the advances were in breeding that finally overcame those disease issues. When I came to Manitoba in 2001, Fusarium head blight was a huge issue in the cereals, particularly in wheat. And there had been some disasters prior to the time of getting here. But that was a disease for which we did not have good resistance at that time. We used emergency registration to get our hands on fungicides to deal with the issue while we didn't have good genetic resistance. But over number of years, and cereal breeding takes some time, we now have varieties with quite good resistance to Fusarium.
You've worked in both government and industry roles, so you've been on both sides of that fence. And how have those experiences really shaped your approach to your career?
I had told colleagues when I started in government that I didn't intend to have a career that was all in one place or environment. So in some ways, I was curious about or even sought out an opportunity in the private industry. And one happened in the mid-90s when I was recruited by a fertilizer company, Westco Fertilizers, and they had partnerships with the pools across the prairies. I worked in Saskatoon, had a working area of about a 60-mile radius of the city. And that gave me an opportunity to work one-on-one with a lot of producers in the field, giving them recommendations, not just on pest management, which I discovered was a smaller portion of everything that growers have to deal with, but fertility and other aspects of agronomy.
So you've spent several decades in this field. And I'm just curious, after all that experience, what advice you'd give to the young people just starting out in this?
Well, I would like young people to broaden out their experience as much as possible. Often we come out of an academic environment with fairly narrow focus of what we might be interested in or we specialize. And that is very crucial for researchers. But for anybody that's involved in extension, you really need to seek out a broad perspective on all that goes into crop management. And a lot of it is in the field of breeding. Never been directly involved in breeding research, but by being on the disease evaluation teams here at the PGDC, we get to give our input into, are you meeting the mark for the disease criteria that we have set for resistance, that sort of thing. And there are 3 aspects that are covered here. It's both breeding for quality, there's the agronomics, and there's the disease evaluation. So it's a complete package. You get a lot of professional interaction with many people, a little bit outside your field, but it's a very worthwhile enterprise.
What are your plans in retirement? Anything specific?
Oh, not a lot specific. I have a lot of hobbies that I have just dabbled with. One of them, I went into business for myself for a while and did tree work. I'm a licensed arborist, and with my pathology background, was able to do diagnosis, tell people if trees were worth saving or not, and actually doing the hands-on work to get that done. I love things like photography, music, reading, genealogy. So I have all of these little projects that I've kept on the back burner for a while, and I will get back into those things.
Congratulations on your retirement and being recognized today here at PGDC.
That was a real honor.
Yeah, thank you for sitting down with me.
Glad to do it.